There are some games that you finish playing that make you realize that you have just completed a masterpiece, something that leaves a lasting impact on you. For the same franchise to have multiple masterpieces spanning across several decades is incredibly impressive and extremely unprecedented. The God of War series is my favorite gaming series of all time, and I've been playing these games since I was a child, after my father introduced me to the franchise, and I've really been hooked ever since. As a child, I was naturally drawn toward God of War due to its amazing gameplay and combat system, as well as just the overall violence in it. A man swinging around these fiery blades that are on chain, vanquishing monsters in 100-hit combo chains, as well as using various different types of magic to fight as well, more than enough to get me to pick up the controller. As I've gotten older though, I've replayed all of the main story games in the God of War series, and it has caused me to want to take a deeper look at one of gaming's greatest characters. Kratos, the main protagonist of God of War, is introduced as a brutal, bloodthirsty, and just overall cruel and callous individual. In God of War, the opening scene begins in a fascinating way that I've never seen before. Kratos ominously proclaims, "The gods of Olympus have abandoned me. Now there is no hope," before he thrusts himself off a cliff, seemingly to his death. This suicide attempt is something that I feel is not spoken about enough when Kratos as a character is discussed, for as manly and macho as he is during the gameplay, vanquishing whoever stood in his way, for him to reach such a low point, such a severe case of depression that he would choose to take his own life, he shows that he has immense layers and depth to his character from the very opening scene of his first game. Now, why did Kratos reach such a low point? What was drastic enough for him to want to take his own life and feel like there is no hope for him on the earth anymore? Well, it was a whirlwind of events, and if you're watching this video, you're likely familiar with the God of War story already, but for those who are not, I'll just provide a brief overview of the events that led Kratos to the edge of this cliff. Kratos was a Spartan general who thrived in battle and conquered endless lands during his time as a leader in the Spartan army. However, one fateful day he was met with a challenge that he could not overcome and a battle that he could not win. He faced off against a savage barbarian army, and to Kratos' shock, the Spartan army actually lost the battle to the barbarians. And as he is moments away from his death, he cries out to the Greek god of war Ares and offers his soul to him in exchange for victory in this battle that is already lost. Ares obliges this request and takes Kratos under his wing, tasking him with unspeakable acts of horror time and time again, which Kratos has no problem carrying out. One day, Ares tells Kratos to attack a village and completely and utterly destroy it, but to Kratos' horror, his own wife and child are in this village. Not being able to curb his bloodlust, he mistakenly commits one of the greatest horrors a man can commit, slaying his own wife and child. After Kratos realizes that Ares tricked him into doing this, he stops following him. A common misconception about Kratos is that he vowed vengeance against Ares after this moment, when in reality, he did not pursue Ares' death of his own volition. When God of War 2005 begins, Kratos is just at sea, wallowing in his own terrors and sadness, trying to find a way to get rid of the memories that haunt him. Only after Athena tells him that his sins will be forgiven if he is able to kill Ares, does Kratos decide to start making the steps toward and eventually kill Ares. Kratos goes on a long journey through Greece, obtains Pandora's box, has a brief detour through the underworld, and eventually successfully kills Ares. Even after completing this great feat, when he realizes that the gods of Olympus will not erase the memories of his horrid act, he remains despondent and depressed. It is after this great feat that he decides that all hope is lost and the only choice left is suicide. For a man with the literal powers of a god to be so haunted by his past mistakes that he cannot forgive himself contradicts everything it is to be a man in any era of humanity. But this speaks to the level of character depth that Kratos possessed from his earliest moments. You can't help but empathize with Kratos at this moment. The feeling of hopelessness and despair is an all too common one in this world. Fans often remember the Greek saga Kratos as an overtly angry, uber-violent killing machine. And while this is true a lot of the time, there are other emotions mixed in there as well, and he has a lot more layers to his character than meets the eye. I want to highlight a few moments in the Greek series and then contrast them with moments in the Norse series and really drive home the narrative that Kratos has changed for the better and has become a man who can care about other people, people whom he doesn't necessarily have a connection with. Early on in God of War 2005, Kratos goes into the mouth of a Hydra in order to receive a key from around the neck of the captain of the ship. He finds the captain still alive in the Hydra's mouth, and instead of easily pulling him up to safety, which would have taken him no time at all, he snatches the key off his neck and drops him into the belly of the beast. This is an extremely cruel and honestly disturbing act by Kratos, but it really lets you know the type of depraved acts he did during the Greek saga of the series. Another particularly hard act by Kratos was also in the God of War 2005 game. When he saw Pandora's box and ventured into Pandora's temple to get it, he encountered a soldier trapped in a cage. In order to progress past this stage, you have to sacrifice this soldier by burning him alive. So you spend the next several minutes dragging this cage up a hill and fighting off enemies in order to get it into the room where the ritual is done. The soldier is screaming, begging for his life, but Kratos doesn't give it a second thought. He puts the man in the machine, pulls the lever, and just burns him alive. If you ever played the God of War series, you know just how brutal Kratos was, but I've highlighted these two incidents specifically to show just how much of a disregard for human life that Kratos used to show. His other more notorious kills in the Greek saga, such as killing Ares and Zeus, had clear goals behind them, and he was also killing, gods that were pretty evil. But the two incidents that I just mentioned, he really had no reason to do this, and likely could have just found another way to proceed without committing these, hard acts. In the Greek saga, Kratos was a man who only cared about achieving his goals, no matter who or what he destroyed on the journey to those goals. For the most part, he did not care who was negatively impacted by his decisions, as long as he got the vengeance that he sought. And we see just how destructive his personality was at the conclusion of God of War 3. Greece wound up in an apocalyptic wasteland with countless people losing their lives and homes, all because of one man's need for vengeance. While we do see him feel immense sadness and regret in the Greek series, which does show some humanity and depth, he still destroys the world as a result of his anger and thirst for vengeance. Now I want to talk about Kratos in the Norse series, and how he showed that he is a very different man than he previously was. While the Greek series highlighted how alone Kratos was on a path forged by revenge and solitude, the Norse series shows Kratos involve himself with others, form meaningful connections, and act in the best interests of others before himself, a quality that was mostly absent in the Greek series. In God of War 2018, Kratos starts the story as an isolated man who was content with him and his son to live a secluded life in the forest. They begin a journey to the highest peak in the realms to fulfill his late wife Faye's dying wish. Kratos begins his journey as a stubborn man who is cautious about trusting others and unwilling to disclose his past to his child Atreus in fear of it corrupting him. But as his journey progresses, he slowly but surely gains a community of friends whom he grows to appreciate immensely. One of these allies that Kratos gains is Freya, a Vanir goddess whom Kratos had a tumultuous relationship with at one point. In God of War 2018, the main protagonist is Freya's son Baldur, who wants to kill his mother due to her placing a spell on him that makes him immortal, but also doesn't allow him to feel anything anymore. Due to this resentment toward his mother, he tries to kill her, and just as he is about to, Kratos steps in and kills him, despite Freya's objections to it and her willingness to let her son kill her. Naturally, this causes Freya to become upset with Kratos and try to take his life on numerous occasions. This is an example of Kratos putting someone over himself. He could have easily walked away in this scenario and just allowed Baldur to kill Freya, but he decides that Freya should not die here, and he steps in. This situation also directly contrasts with a scenario in the Greek series and really magnifies how much Kratos' character has changed. In God of War 3, Kratos seeks the help of the Greek smithing god Hephaestus. After Hephaestus accuses Kratos of harming his daughter Pandora, he attacks him, which leads to Kratos killing Hephaestus immediately. When you boil it down, these two scenarios are pretty much the same. An emotional god trying to kill Kratos in defense or revenge for their child. The only difference is Kratos' response to these attacks. With Hephaestus, he is still a bloodthirsty machine full of rage and not capable of empathy or understanding, so he responds to violence with violence. But with Freya, he shows restraint, actively avoiding confrontation with her despite her trying her hardest to kill him. When they eventually patch up their relationship, he even explains how he was wrong for robbing her of the decision of how to handle the situation, which shows a level of introspection that was not present previously in his life. You cannot speak about Kratos' character development without discussing the relationship that he builds with his son Atreus. At first, he raises Atreus in a cold and rigorous way, the Spartan method that he was taught, but as time passes and through the counsel of his makeshift family, he learns to give Atreus the freedom and space to make mistakes and grow as a person on his own. In God of War 2018, Kratos and Atreus have a tension-filled relationship, with Kratos keeping his son at an arm's length, but in Ragnarok, we see Kratos be a lot more flexible to his son's desires. For example, Kratos is open to joining Atreus on his quest to find Tyr, although he does not entirely agree with the path that Atreus wants them to take them on in the end. In the past, Kratos would have never budged on any disagreement that he had with Atreus, let alone something as serious as seeking out another god. I point this out to say the Kratos of old would not have been as flexible in this scenario. There are a couple of scenes at the end of God of War Ragnarok that perfectly encapsulate the character development that I am describing. Let's watch them together and then analyze the key developments in Kratos' character.
Are you ready?
Yes. I will be your general.
It will be an honor to fight alongside you.
Aye, brother. I'll be right by your side. So, what are your orders?
To the temple.
General.
Sir? General?
General?
Sir.
Hey, bud. General.
I came to these lands to escape my past, to start a new life. I can hide no longer. I do not want this war. We have suffered enough. Prophecy did not lead us here, nor will it win this battle. Wars are won by those that are willing to sacrifice everything. If that is the cost of vengeance, so be it.
Odin has taken so much from us already. The realms have suffered enough. No matter the cost. This ends today.
If going out in a blaze of glory means that Odin burns too, that's where I'll be. A big, fat smile on my face.
For Brock.
Ready yourselves.
This scene at the end of God of War Ragnarok is such a stark contrast to the end of God of War 3. Kratos goes from a man in solitude, filled with emptiness, to a man with a community, whom others are looking to lead them. Leading armies is something that Kratos has vast experience with, but this time is different. When he led Spartan armies, it was because of his insatiable desire for battle and conquest, but when he leads his army into Asgard, it is for something bigger than just himself. It is for peace in the Nine Realms and peace for everyone else. Now here's the second scene.
I didn't want this. No. Close your heart to it. Close your heart.
Who are they?
Midgardians. Odin took them in. They shouldn't be here. They're not soldiers.
Odin put them in our path to die.
It's war. Wars are won by those who are willing to sacrifice everything. What are you doing?
Son, listen closely. You feel their pain because that is who you are. And you must never sacrifice that. Never. Not for anyone. I was wrong, Atreus. I was wrong. Open your heart. Open your heart to their suffering. That is your mother's wish. And mine as well. Today, son. Today, we will be better.
But what can we do?
You see the size of that thing? I think we're gonna win. I mean, if they don't kill us first.
Why have you stopped? Ragnarok is here. We finally have Odin right where we...
We will stop Odin. But we did not come to sacrifice the innocent. We will breach the wall at Hrimthur's Flaw.
With what army?
Atreus and I will be enough.
That's suicide.
It may be. But we will die seeking justice, not vengeance.
During this battle in Asgard, Atreus and Kratos realize that if they proceed with the war as planned, many innocents that Odin planted will be needlessly harmed. Something that Kratos hammered into Atreus since he was a young boy is the closest heart to the suffering that he witnesses. When Atreus realizes that these innocent people will become casualties of war, he immediately refers to what his father initially taught him, and upon seeing this, Kratos admits that he was wrong. He is vulnerable with his son, and he tells him that feeling empathy towards others is not a negative thing. Not only does he say this, he then willingly steps up and puts his life on the line to try and bring this battle to a conclusion without sacrificing innocent lives. Both these scenes are beautiful and truly represent just how far Kratos has come as a character. The Kratos of old had no problem with innocent people dying in order to further his goals, and the conclusion of God of War Ragnarok shows that he has made the conscious choice to be a different type of god. He chooses to be a god who doesn't recklessly flex his power at the cost of others. He chooses to be a god who acts in the best interest of others. One thing I do not want to be misconstrued is my analysis of Kratos as a whole. Kratos has always had some depth to his character from the earliest God of War games, and we see him struggle emotionally throughout the Greek series. He struggles with trying to do the right thing, he struggles with grief, he struggles with depression, and all of these things cause him to be the god we see in the Greek series. In the Norse series, we see him truly make great leaps as a character, specifically when it comes to processing his emotions, controlling his emotions, making better decisions, and just being a better person overall.